Putin, knock it off. And he believed that Putin did. At least that's what he told the press. But nonetheless, listen to how the fact that the former president knew it was going on, yet diminished the fact that people were talking about it. Watch.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections. There's no evidence that that has happened in the past, or that there are instances in which that will happen this time. And so I'd advise Mr. Trump to stop whining and go try to make his case to get votes.
And he did. And they came out yesterday. Jay Johnson came out yesterday and said, hey, listen, we tried to tell you, but it was the weekend of the Access Hollywood tape. Really? So one weekend after 8 years, you come out October 7th and say, yeah, we have evidence that Russia is doing something through social media to affect our elections. I don't really think that is that effective.
Right. But the president knew right then when he was saying that it was going on. But he said there is no serious person out there that would think that. There is no evidence that it has happened in the past. Stop whining, Mr. Trump.
Well, see, when I heard that soundbite this morning, when we were preparing for the show, and we played back that soundbite from him, I thought, okay, well, this is another example about how President Trump was right. I mean, he predicted this when he was running, and people laughed at him. No one expected him to win.
Mitt Romney was right.
Mitt Romney was right. Yeah. So it just reminded me of how in touch he is with the American people and how the American people feel.
And you know what it underlines, too? If we could pull politics out of it, we were attack in a sophisticated way in which you expect Madison Avenue to come up with in another era. Inside our elections, they tried to divide us to the Russians through their bots, through social media, which we created, and have been quite effective. And the fact is, when a Michael Moore shows up at an anti-Trump rally after the election, and it turns out that was sponsored by the Russians, do you really think Michael Moore was collaborating with the Russians? It was unwitting collaboration. They can't have a collaboration unwitting. I apologize for that. An unwitting participant in this act. So we have to find a way to push back. Do you know that they're already working on dividing us after the horrific shooting on Wednesday? Sure. There's social media aspects pushing us apart on the gun program.
So if Americans were if this was unwitting, if Americans were not involved in this, why is the mainstream media pushing the collusion and continuing to do it? Is it because they just don't like this president?
Well, you be the judge.